Hey, I want to say good morning. How is everybody doing today? And we are on my weekly Gym Talk Moments in Leadership. So, I want to talk about WTF, are we still doing this? How to smash those silos, lead strategically, and finally get out of the weeds. While we're waiting for people to hook up, let me tell you what's going on today. Now, I just came back from the East Coast. I flew in late last night, got into bed after midnight. So it was kind of hard getting up this morning to do this, but I really wanted to tell you about it. I ran a CEO mindset workshop on the East Coast. I think I told you about it last week. And let me tell you, it wasn't so much a training as it turned into a boardroom. After 3 hours of workshop, no fluff, mindset work, shifting mindsets, some strategic frameworks on what a CEO does, some bold vision. And I put people on the hot seat to talk about their vision and what they're going to do. Each leader at the end, which I didn't really prepare them for, they pitched their area like it was their own company. I basically said, you don't work for this company anymore. You have your own company. You're providing services. So they pitched their company and their services to their boss, the COO. No decks, no bullet points, no, PowerPoint, just clarity, vision, conviction. Later in the evening, one of the execs got up and said to me, when I heard you were coming, I thought you were going to try to give us a practical tip or two, but instead you gave me a total mind shift, one I can't go back from. Well, that's the goal when leaders stop seeing themselves as siloed operators and start seeing themselves as owners of their functions like a business. Everything shifts, alignment sharpens, decisions speed up, impact multiplies. And that's what we're going to get into today. We're going to get into more of that stuff. Oh, let me turn off my telephone. Ah, I tell everybody else that they need to turn off, and I didn't do it myself. So, yep, there we go. I put me in meeting mode. So let's get to this. What's really going on with people? We're going to be talking about this today. If you're stuck managing your lane and wondering why nothing changes, this is the one for you. Drop a thumbs up in the chat if this sounds familiar. You're in yet some cross-functional meeting, and everybody's answer to every problem was, well, we're waiting on the other team, but they have different priorities, and I can't get things done. Woe is me. Well, let's get real about what's really going on with this. Your teams are in silo mode. Here's the shift. When teams operate in silo mode, they optimize for their function, not the business. In this mode, we believe that if we do a good job on our silo process, somehow in the magical world, everything aggregates into good business outcomes. That is not true. It doesn't work. Lots of waste. But when leaders shift into a CEO mindset and they start making decisions that drive enterprise value, well, as I told you, one session, an exec told me it wasn't about skills. It was a mind shift change that he can't unsee. That's how silos start to crumble. Want your team to think this way? Don't forget to DM me. So let me tell you this. It isn't about your org chart. It's about mindset. So let's kill it. There's a myth that silos come from org charts. It really doesn't. It comes from mindset. I have a client. We'll call him Jason. I was coaching him last week. His company created what they call domains. Each domain had an expertise area. Each domain has domain leaders and a number of teams that go with that domain. Jason's domain was under pressure to deliver a huge piece of technology right smack dab on the corporate roadmap for this KPIs for this year. All the eyes were on it. The CTO was following it. The CPO was following it. Everybody wanted to get this technology out. But every time Jason goes to another domain and asks for help, he hears, well, that'll take weeks. Put you on the list. We got other priorities that are higher. Sound familiar? Well, the same thing came up this week in my leadership workshop. This group runs operations of 7,000 people strong. And when they need internal services to help them, which was actually, funny thing, set up to help the business, to serve the business, they get, well, we have other priorities. We don't work that way. This is not a process issue. This is a mindset issue. When you lead like a functional operator, you optimize for the team. When you lead like a CEO, you optimize for the business. Big difference. I'm going to tell you some more. A siloed behavior is driven by habit, deep process, fear of losing control, and lack of internal influence. What do you think about that? Drop it in the chat. Let me tell you some more. Many times I go into meetings in the past, and we'll have these cross collaboration meetings, and we'll talk about things that are going on. And, we're going to call it what it is. It's a meeting to help set alignment. Alignment is a big issue here because we have different priorities and we're all over the place. But when we have these meetings, they're just theater. Everybody talks about collaboration. Everybody talks about what they're going to do, but really they're guarding their own turf. They're guarding their own turf. And what are the different outcomes? Nothing. You get the same thing. You want different outcomes? You have to show up differently. That's all it is. You need to show up differently. It's not the org chart. It's your mindset, right? That's what it is. So if you see these things, tell me more about what you are seeing in your company. Put it in the chat. I want to hear from you. So remember, if you want to show up differently and you want to be a CEO mindset, You have to take some things off your plate. You can no longer be the go-to person for every problem. So here's where it gets uncomfortable. You might be unintentionally reinforcing these very silos you are frustrated with. You're enforcing them. So think to yourself, and you don't have to say it out loud, do you protect your turf more than you're building bridges? Do you reach out across teams, or are you just hitting your own productivity dashboard quota? Are you driving outcomes? Are you just making your corner of your org looks good? When we do these things, protecting our turf, just making sure our productivity quota is good, making sure our corner of the org is good, these things happen because that's how we were brought up through the organization. That's how we were taught to do things. It's not going to work anymore. Our world is moving way too fast for this to happen. So in past shows, I've said it before. If you're doing this, you are the bottleneck. You are the decider. You are the go-to person for everything. And we can't keep that happening. So I want to say hello to Eddie out here. He says he agrees that staying positive is key to success. Facing challenges with optimism allows us to seize opportunities, especially when utilizing artificial intelligence and other tools. Oh, I am so glad you said that. Yes. You know, I hate when I go into the meetings and you have the negative Nancy and all that stuff. Oh, you can't do that. And they find every corner case of why you can't do this. You're right. You have to go in more positive. You can't be the bottleneck. You can't be the person that everybody is coming to. It just doesn't work that way, because what happens, and I've said this before, you become not only the bottleneck, but you're not the CEO of the organization. You are becoming the babysitter of decisions. Is that what you came to work to do, to be the babysitter of decisions? No, you have to push those things off. You have to delegate as much of those things to your team. You should not be the big subject matter expert. You can be an expert, but you need to be more of strategic and let your team bring that expertise. Sometimes it's not about that, it's about clarity. And I walk clients through a simple decision lens. When things come to your desk, do you own it? Do you delegate it? Do you automate it? Or do you eliminate it? Do you own, delegate, automate, or eliminate? If everything feels urgent, it's because nothing is being filtered. Owning it is only if you are the only one that can unlock it. Delegate it means you're growing somebody else on the team to take it on. Automate it, if it is repeatable and it keeps happening, why keep it manual? And if it doesn't move the business forward, and if you look around, you probably have a lot of this, eliminate it. Own, delegate, automate, eliminate. When you skip this filter, you don't just stay busy, you create confusion. You become the bottleneck. And worse, as I said, You become the decision maker, babysitter. Do you really want to be the adult in the room watching over other adults? This is not leadership. This is a recipe for burnout. One leader in my CEO session had a wake up moment when he realized he has been managing outputs and not driving outcomes. He stopped asking, is my team busy? And start asking, are we moving the needle? Now, talk about mind shift. What can you do to stop being busy and start moving the needle? I want to say hello to Antoinette. Thank you for coming again. And Laura. Laura asks a question. How do you suggest someone learn and grow without ending up going to be the go-to person? I've said it for years. Knowledge is not always power. I know learning to say no would help. Oh, yes. Okay. My own story, I found it extremely hard to learn how to say no. I found it extremely hard not to always say yes. I wanted to be helpful. I wanted to help people all the time. Laura, this is at every level of the organizations that I coach, from the first time manager all the way up to the C-suite. When do we learn to say no? So often when people come back to me, I talk about with a problem, I start asking questions. As a matter of fact, when I started not saying yes to everything, I went to my team and I said, okay, you can come to me with any question, any problem. I'm no longer going to be a human fire extinguisher putting out all your fires. So I want you to come to me with three things. One, I want you to come to me with a short, crisp description of the problem. I don't want a long story and the whole history. What is the problem we're trying to solve? Short, crisp, let's get to it. Two, I want you to tell me things that you have already tried. And three, I want you to come to me with at least three solutions or possible solutions to the problem. I don't care how crazy they are. And we're going to talk them through and choose one. That got my people thinking, shifting from just throwing the problems out to people to actually starting to think about the problem, what is the problem, and what can I do to solve the problem. After about 6 months or so of doing this, I changed the rules. Well, I didn't change it. I really only added one more rule to this. And the next rule was, after you tell me all this, I want your recommendation of which solution you think is the best way to go. And we'll talk about it. Well, after time started going on, they stopped coming to me because they were already solving their problems. We want to grow problem solvers. Take things off your plate so you can think more forward, more strategic. What's coming down the road? How do I get the roadblocks away from my team so that they can keep moving? This is what that's all about. And this is part of delegation too, which I'm bringing up here. If you're going to grow your team, you need them to grow in a way that they can actually move things forward and you can start thinking about what's going on. But you can't delegate what you don't trust. If you you can't trust your people to be problem solvers. You can't trust your people to do this. You can't delegate it, and you end up being that babysitter again. So I could tell you this, the hard truth, when you build the silos, I can tell you one leader said he realized he was acting like a department head, not a business owner. And when you lead a small team, your team follows. You do silo thinking, they do silo thinking. You do CEO thinking, thinking about the enterprise, making the enterprise better. They will stop protecting the turf, and instead they will start building bridges. Now you're leading. Now you're getting beyond the fears. Now you're ready to own impact and start thinking like a CEO. Now, another thing, if you're thinking about a CEO, there are, of course, numbers that you need to think about. Often, way too often, I see companies have dashboards and dashboards and dashboards and dashboards and all kinds of dashboards with endless rows of metrics, and no one looks at them. They lay silent because there's so much stuff there that people don't know what to look at. Many times they have these reports after reports after reports, and they don't know what to do with it. Many of these reports, many of these dashboards are just digital noise. They track activity, not impact. And I'm telling you what's happening because it's keeping you in the weeds instead of moving your business. Often, dashboards have only the information that we can easily get to instead of the information you need. So what I like to talk about is a scoreboard versus a dashboard. If you look at your dashboard, like in your car, you have all kinds of stuff. You have a speedometer and the fuel gauge and many things. And now it's so digital, you have layers of it and menus of it. It's unbelievable. But a scoreboard, you go to any sport, you see a scoreboard and it tells you just what you need to know if you are winning or if you are losing and what play comes next, right? It says what game you're playing, are we winning, what's coming next. That's it. It gives you the minimal amount of information to let you know if you're going the right direction. And yes, there's many statistics for players and stuff like that that go all the way down. And it's not that they're not important, but at this level where we're discussing, that's not necessary. It's noise. Are we winning? Or are we losing? If your team can't glance at your numbers and instantly know the score, it's not a scoreboard, it's a spreadsheet. That is not what we're looking for. You've got to make what matters unmissable. So before you go to your next metrics review, ask, is this number the number that helps us move the needle? Is this the number that helps us get better or just prove we're busy? I want you to think about that. Does this just prove we're busy? Busy over productivity are two different things, right? Busy and getting things done are two different things. Busy is just busy. So, dashboards. Dashboards are for the weeds. Scoreboards are for winners. Most dashboards are just noise, rows of data no one looks at unless there's a crisis. Scoreboards are where the games are won and lost. A scoreboard tells where your team exactly is in the game, what you're playing, what you're winning, what team or what move comes next. No digging, no guesswork, just clarity. If your team can't glance at your numbers and instantly know the score, you built a spreadsheet, not a strategy. You want to lead like a CEO? Stop tracking activity and start tracking impact. If you want to put together a scoreboard, let me know. DM me. I can help you do that because scoreboards drive performance. So this is the work. Leaders, this is the work. Before we close, let me give you a taste of something even bigger. If this live stream gave you some clarity, imagine what a deep dive 2.5 days can do. I'm running a leadership retreat later this month that takes CEO mindset and explodes it in the best possible way. You walk out with a bold, personal CEO vision, an experiment roadmap that will unlock your team's speed.